Let me begin with my fireworks. Happy 4th of July. Doesn't quite work with the background, but it is my safe way of having a few fireworks and allowing that to be a symbol of the freedom that the fireworks and that light show to each one of us during this 4th of July weekend. As we know, this holiday is tied to the word and the virtue freedom. Americans, on our day of independence from Great Britain, when on July 4th, 1776, the Declaration of Independence was adopted by Congress, announcing that the colonies were now independent from Great Britain. Now, the freedom theme has also been with us through the month of June. As we know, the month of June was Pride Month, celebrating the freedom of expression of lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, and other sexual orientations, celebrating the freedom to authentically express who we are, as I identify as one of those. And it's important that we celebrate this freedom, the freedom to choose who we love, to choose and express ourselves without it being noted as criminal or illegal once upon a time, not so long ago. We are celebrating the freedom of not being denied our rights for conforming to someone else's definition of gender or sexual identity, or who we choose to love. And while Pride Month was a celebration of freedom in that aspect, we also declared Juneteenth to be a federal holiday, only 15 days ago from the 4th of July. And Juneteenth is the celebration of the emancipation of the African Americans from slavery. The Emancipation Proclamation was actually created in 1862, but it was meant to take effect in January of 1863. And due to the resistance, was not enacted until in the last state of Texas in 1865. Based on the resistance there, it took 2,000 Union troops to free 250,000 slaves by executive decree. While we express more freedom than ever before, we are called to a greater expression of freedom. For those in the LGBTQ community, 42% of the people who identify as LGBTQ live in an unwelcoming environment. 6 in 10 LGBTQ students report feeling unsafe at school. And while LGBTQ students usually do better in school and work, they say the biggest problem is unaccepting families. Now, some of that is due to old religions and old judgments, but not for CSL Chico. As a science of mind philosophy, there is no judgment and only love, unconditional love. Yes, loving one another and being in the power of that love. For CSL Chico, I'm proud to say we have 3 ministers who identify as LGBTQ, and we have forever been an opening and affirming center. You know, the virtue of freedom is a truth that is known at the soul level. It's a higher truth that all beings yearn for, to freely express and to be our authentic selves, without prejudice, without judgment, without racism, without ridicule. Freedom indeed is in our nature. It continues to call us. And whether we're talking about the United States of America or the world in general, We have not achieved that 100% freedom and liberation for all to be authentically who they are without fear. Our founder, Dr. Ernest Holmes, wrote, "The idea of freedom itself is tied up with the true concept of unity, the unity of good. If our nature is one, if God is one, if universal source is one, we know that we must be one, for the universe cannot be divided against itself. We are then all tied into an indivisible unity. We shall have to get back to this unity to find the true meaning of freedom. Nothing in any part of this cosmic whole could be considered freedom that would destroy the liberty of some other part of it. That would be self-destruction, would it not? True liberty must spring from true unity and freedom." Now, we may be closer than ever before, so yes, reasons to celebrate based on where we have been. And yet, we all know at the soul level, we are all working to move towards the more perfect vision and union, a truer and deeper expression, allowing freedom for all. So if you're at your computer or your tablet or your phone, I'd like to ask you in the YouTube live chat to list in there, what new choices do you make each day? So I invite you all, I have the chat up next to me, and I'm asking you to respond to, what new choices do you make each day? Because today's lesson is about the freedom to choose your actions, to choose your thoughts, to choose your words, to choose your beliefs. And while you enter your new choices that you make each day in the chat, I'm going to remind you of a story that I'm sure many of you have heard. The story about the little girl who asks her mom, "Mom, why do you cut off the ends of the ham before putting it in the oven?" And the mom replies, "I'm not sure why, but that's what Grandma always did. Let's ask Grandma." So the little girl asked Grandma, "Grandma, why do you cut off the ends of the ham before putting it in the oven?" And Grandma replied, "I never had a pan big enough to cook the whole ham, so I cut off the ends so that it would fit in the pan that I had." We all have generations of previous thought. We all have generations of previous thought that is within us, consciously and subconsciously. And those repetitive thoughts lead to beliefs. So we have generations of previous beliefs. But today we have the freedom to choose anew every day. And yet we frequently carry out previous thoughts and beliefs from those previous generations in a time that we no longer live in. From a time we no longer live in. Take a minute to think about that. I felt very compelled to share with you today a special video. Many of you know the name Frederick Douglass. Frederick Douglass was an African American, a social reformer, abolitionist, orator, writer, and statesman. He escaped from slavery in Maryland. He eventually became a national leader of the abolitionist movement in Massachusetts and New York. He became famous for his oratory and incisive anti-slavery writings. The video I'm going to show you is of Frederick's descendants. Frederick Douglass's descendants reading Frederick's speech. What to the slave is the 4th of July? This video is 7 minutes long. Please bear with me. I am going to share the screen and share the sound so that we can hear from the descendants of Frederick Douglass.
Do I look there or there? Okay. Okay. My name is Alexa Ann Watson, and I am the great-great-great-granddaughter of Frederick
Douglass is my great-great-great-great.
I am the great-great-great-granddaughter of Frederick Douglass.
I am the great-great-great-great-grandchild.
I've been counting on my fingers since I was like 5.
Whenever you're ready, here we go.
This is the 4th of July. It is the birthday of your national independence and of your political freedom.
Fellow citizens, I shall not presume to dwell at length on the associations that cluster about this day. The simple story of it is that 76 years ago, the people of this country were British subjects.
Oppression makes a wise man mad. Your fathers were wise men, and if they did not go mad, they became restive under this treatment.
With brave men, there's always a remedy for oppression.
They succeeded, and today you reap the fruits of their success. The freedom gained is yours, and you, therefore, may properly celebrate this anniversary.
Fellow citizens, pardon me. Allow me to ask, why am I called upon to speak here today? What have I, or those I represent, to do with your national independence?
Are the great principles of political freedom and of natural justice embodied in that Declaration of Independence extended to us?
I am not included within the pale of this glorious anniversary.
Your high independence only reveals the immeasurable distance between us. The blessings in which you this day rejoice are not enjoyed in common.
The rich inheritance of justice, liberty, prosperity, and independence bequeathed by your fathers is shared by you, not by me.
The sunlight that brought life and healing to you has brought stripes and death to me.
This 4th of July is yours, not mine.
You may rejoice, I must mourn.
Fellow citizens, above your national tumultuous joy, I hear the mournful wail of millions.
At a time like this, scorching irony, not convincing argument is needed.
Oh, had I the ability and could reach the nation's ear, I would today pour out a fiery stream of biting ridicule, blasting reproach, withering sarcasm, and stern rebuke.
For it is not light that is needed, but fire.
It is not the gentle shower, but thunder.
We need the storm, the whirlwind, and the earthquake.
The feeling of the nation must be quickened.
The conscience of the nation must be roused.
The propriety of the nation must be startled.
The hypocrisy of the nation must be exposed.
And its crimes against God and man must be proclaimed and denounced.
What to the American slave is your 4th of July? I answer, a day that reveals to him, more than all other days in the year, the gross injustice and cruelty to which he is the constant victim.
To him, your celebration is a sham.
Your boasted liberty an unholy license.
Your national greatness, swelling vanity.
Your sounds of rejoicing are empty and heartless.
Your denunciations of tyrants, brass-fronted impudence.
Your shouts of liberty and equality, hollow mockery.
Your prayers and hymns, your sermons and thanksgivings,
With all your religious parade and solemnity, are to him
Mere bombast.
Fraud.
deception,
Impiety.
and hypocrisy. There is not a nation on the earth guilty of practices more shocking and bloody than are the people of these United States at this very hour. Allow me to say in conclusion, notwithstanding the dark picture I have this day presented of the state of the nation, I do not despair of this country.
This speech was written almost 170 years ago, but this part of it is still extremely relevant, especially with today's protests.
I think that when people are oppressed, they feel silenced, and if someone feels silenced, they get angry. There are certain tactics that you need to use to get people to really hear your voice, and it's not always going to be just like a very calm discussion.
I think he's mostly talking to the people who are already on his side, but believe that they can still try to talk this out, or that things are still justifiable. I know a lot of people at the time were saying, and people now are still saying, that it's not as bad as it could be.
While the 4th of July probably does not feel the same to me as it does to others, I wouldn't say that it has no meaning, because it is the time when America as a country became free from another country. But I would say that it's not the time in which I gained my freedom.
He had a lot of hope, especially for his age. And like, I'm getting to the point in my life where I'm only 20 years old, but I'm exhausted. Like, I have these thoughts like, will we ever really get to this point? Or is this really something that we should actually spend our time fighting for?
Somebody once said that pessimism is a tool of white oppression, and I think that's true. I think in many ways we are still slaves to the notion that it will never get better. But I think that there is hope, and I think it's important that we celebrate Black joy and Black life, and we remember that change is possible, change is probable, and that there's hope.
Such a powerful video. I've watched it 3, 4, 5 times, and each time another layer is revealed. We have the choice to choose the change. Again, the video is so powerful in so many ways. And what's amazing to me, even from the last gentleman, that it's amazing to hear that Frederick's descendants have hope, and they know that change is probable, and we can be that change. And so while we celebrate freedom today, it's a reminder of the virtue freedom, of the characteristic of spirit, of God, of our birthright freedom. And while we may have improved, knowing that the descendants of Frederick Douglass have not been in slavery, we still know there is a call for truer freedom to heal the racism that still exists, the prejudices that still exist, the framework for which many people want to sustain our current society, knowing that there are injustices that need to be healed. There's a saying that says, if we rob ourselves of our future based on our choices or thoughts that our ancestors have made in the past, like the baking of the ham, how do we move beyond the current limits? We do have the power to go beyond. We do have the power to continue to move forward. We have the power to heal, to bring us back to our divine wholeness and unity, which is freedom and liberty for all. Is that not what America stands for? Liberty and justice for all. But it takes work. Work on behalf of each one of us. It takes practice. Spiritual practice, and may I just say, humanities practice in treating one another with love and respect. We need to realign ourselves and our thoughts to the truths, letting go of any aspect that our ancestors may have thought or believed. We celebrate this holiday of freedom as we become conscious of how we can bring, each one of us, more love, more acceptance, and more freedom into the lives of others without the judgment, the ridicule, the blame, the shame, the guilt that is still prevalent today. All right, I'm going back to look at the chat, and I see, as far as what new choice you make each day, I choose love, acceptance, and embracing my authentic self. Yes. I choose to keep my heart open and love as much as possible. Beautiful. Alignment with the truth. I am in a state of gratitude to be patient, to be receptive, and to be compassionate. Love the beauty of the rainbow of expression already expressed. I choose peace around the world. I choose to see others with the eyes of love. I choose to make the wisdom within my loudest voice. Love it. I am proud of the center right now. It's taken time to get our voice, and now we have it. Thank you, Reverend Connie. So we have the freedom to choose every day. But do you know that 95% of our day, we make choices out of habit? 95% of our day. That means only 5% of the time we are conscious and aware of our choices. That means while we have the freedom to think new thoughts 100% of the time, 100% we can choose new beliefs, new thoughts, new actions, we tend to fall into or stick with the previous decisions 95% of the time. Various internet sources talked about the fact that we actually make 35,000 decisions each day. We make over 227 decisions each day just on food. So you and I have been given the free will of multiple choices in life: what to eat, what to wear, what to purchase, what job, how to vote, who to spend our time with, what we will name our children, our pets, and what we say and how we say it, and what we think, and therefore what we believe. The freedom to choose. The freedom to choose and begin anew every day. So what does all of this have to do with science of mind and our spirituality? We begin with intention and focus. In knowing the truth that we are all one with the universe, that we are all one mind in complete unity, and that the universe is not divided unto itself, we begin with the intention and the focus of true freedom. And true freedom that's known here, based on the invisible unity that holds us together, that true freedom is known everywhere. So we align ourselves in heart, in mind, in soul, in thought, in expression with the first cause and the universal truth of freedom. We each choose to open our hearts and to open our minds and to align ourselves with this attribute of freedom, continuing to plant the seeds of action, seeds of thought into the law of mind, knowing that a greater truth of freedom is being revealed for all beings. And as we reveal and heal true freedom with ourselves and in our relationships, we know that that is a ripple effect and moves throughout the universe. We do give thanks for the freedom of expression that we have liberated ourselves to. In other words, the freedom that we've achieved to this day, we do celebrate it. And today is the day for us to set our intentions and our focus to continue to reveal at a deeper level for all human beings a greater experience of the true freedom that is the birthright of all. So this is the charge for each one of us this weekend. As we go about our spiritual daily practices, as we go about interacting, as we open up from the times of COVID and we move back into the opportunity to interact with one another, we open ourselves to a greater expression of freedom, even in the chapter of post-COVID. We are not to settle on the freedom that some of us may experience more than others. Because we know until all beings experience freedom, we have not experienced freedom. Our annual theme for the center is Healing is Revealing Our Divine Wholeness. And revealing our divine wholeness includes the true demonstration of freedom for all beings. So I'm going to close right now doing a spiritual mind treatment, which is our form of affirmative prayer. I will be intermixing my own statements as well as the statements of Dr. Ernest Holmes, taken out of the Science of Mind textbook in his chapter on meditations. So if you will center yourself, becoming open and aware, conscious of the fact that there is only one mind, one power, one source of love and intelligence, a source of freedom and liberty for all. I recognize right here, right now, that I am a free spirit and I cannot be bound. The one life is flowing through me and it is perfect and complete. I am not apart from it. I am one with the unity and freedom, one with the complete whole. I was born free and I remain free. The realization of freedom permeates my whole being and sinks into the innermost parts of me, releasing any false beliefs which have limited freedom for myself. There is no judgment against anyone because we are one. The universal source does not condemn, but rather there is an unconditional love and an unconditional givingness of life. There is no bondage or limitation. Every part of me moves in perfect harmony and freedom with the divine. I cannot be tied or bound. I am the free spirit. I am the power of my life. I am completely free. I am free from the belief or thoughts of men that are of the lower consciousness that limit freedom. And I attune myself instead with the higher and deeper truths of freedom. I freely express my love, my divinity, my expression, and my gifts. I know this truth, and this truth frees me from the bonds of fear and limitation. I am not afraid. I am courageous in expressing fully who I am, the Most High within me. The one life is flowing through me perfectly in freedom. The realization of freedom permeates all of me and sinks into the innermost parts of me. There is no judgment. There is only love. There is only power. There is only freedom. There is only goodness. I remain open and receptive to the truth of this freedom for me and for all beings. And so I release this in mind with thanksgiving, letting it be demonstrated, and so it is. Namaste.